Dr. Anshul, you're not audible.
I would like you to introduce you all with the speaker of our today's session. Today's session, I feel privileged to welcome Dr. Pawan Kumar, who is an associate professor at School of Basic and Applied Sciences at Mangalam University. Dr. Pawan Kumar completed his BSc Physics Honours and MSc Honours Physics from University of Delhi and PhD in Physics and Material Science and Engineering from JP Institute of Information Technology, Noida. He has worked with SITM Lucknow. In 2010, he got prestigious Senior Research Fellowship from CSIR, New Delhi. And he has worked full-time as a SRF in CSIR, National Physical Laboratory, New Delhi. After the completion of his PhD, he got a research associate position at Inter-University Accelerator Center and Autonomous Center of the University Grants Commission, New Delhi, where he got an opportunity to take his postdoctoral work on swift heavy ion radiation effect on manganite thin film. In 2014, he joined Mangalam University as an assistant professor of physics in School of Basic and Applied Sciences. He is currently teaching physics course to MSc Physics, BSc Physics, and BTech students. Apart from teaching, he is also involved in research work and supervising students for PhD degrees. He is also involved in many other activities of the university and also published several research papers in international journals indexed in Global Research Database, Web of Science, and Scopus. He has also presented many research papers in national and international conferences. So, sir, we welcome you all at this platform. And sir is going to speak on a very important topic today. The topic he is going to cover is plagiarism prevention. During our academic venture, I'm sure you all must have heard of the word plagiarism. We all know about it, but what matters the most is how, as academicians, we can prevent them. During the last few years, we have been hearing a lot about COVID. We know what it is, what are its symptoms, but as important as it is to know about it, its symptoms and how it's spread, equally important is to know how to prevent it so that we do not get affected by COVID at the very first place. So we really look forward to know about how we can prevent the plagiarism at the very first place. Because I myself seen, people struggling with the high percentages of plagiarism in their reports, and then suddenly they start panicking and, handling this from the very beginning is far more easier than dealing with this at the later stages. I hope, am I right, sir?
Yes, you're right. So, thank you so much. Am I audible? First of all, I want to confirm this. Dr. Anshul, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Anshul, for giving me a very nice introduction about me. And first of all, good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for being here this Sunday morning. So I know that Sunday morning is very important for all of us. It is a day to recharge ourselves. Sunday is a family day. So it's required a lot of efforts to attend any meeting or FDP, etc., like this on Sundays. So thanks once again for attending today's last day of FDP. And I hope that during this FDP of 7 days, every one of you have learned or revised or revisited many topics which you might know already. So today I am going to share about plagiarism prevention, the topic which given to me by the organizer. I am very thankful to Professor Tanya Gupta for giving me this topic. I'm also thankful to the organizer for giving me this opportunity and helping me to brush up my knowledge about plagiarism. So the topic plagiarism prevention, which again I thought most of us already know. So let us again revisit the topic plagiarism prevention. And are you ready? So first of all, I want to know that are you ready? So please raise your hands, or maybe you can give thumbs up. Okay, right. So thank you so much. So that means we all are ready to hear about what is plagiarism prevention, to learn more about plagiarism prevention.
So yes, sir, we can see the hands being raised up in the chat box.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so
Yes.
much. So thanks for your response. As today's topic is about plagiarism, so I want to say that the content of today's PowerPoint presentation is not plagiarized, as I have prepared it by myself, and proper codes are given if the content is of someone else. But whatever I'm going to share might be plagiarized because I'm sharing my knowledge from different books, articles, publication, etc. So some sentences can be repeated from those sources. So for that, at the end of the PPT, I have written the references of all the possible sources from where I am going to share with you about plagiarism prevention. So now I would like to request Dr. Should please go to the slide 3. I think this is slide 3, right? Okay. So thank you so much. So actually, the George August Morey, an Irish novelist, once wrote, I quote, taking something from one man and making it worse is plagiarism. I unquote. So when an individual lifts someone else's intellectual works, such as ideas, opinions, art, designs, or writing, as such or in a modified form and passes them off as his or her own original work with or without permission. It is called plagiarism. So this is nothing but some kind of kidnapping or stealing. So publication of research papers, books, book chapters, patents are the major accepted means to gain recognition for the author from fellow scientists and the public. Both quality and quantity of publications are important, but just to increase numbers, producing substandard works or those with plagiarized contents is unethical and improper. So many times, scientists, academicians try to publish as many papers as possible by splitting major works. So by this, what they are doing, they are reproducing their own result. They are again doing the same things, showing the same thing in a different way. So that kind of pressure is on Indian scientists and academicians, or maybe this is also now spread internationally, because now we also know that China is also using so many research papers, but if you see the quality of the research paper, that that China is very far away from America and the Western countries, right? So please go to the next slide. So now, if we see these phrases, so as these three phrases are very common and we have seen in several places, right? The first phrase is publish or perish. So this creates pressure on academician and scientists that if you not publish, you will perish. So the phrase publish or perish is popular among academic circles to describe the pressure among scientists and academicians to publish research papers and similar publications continually to keep up or promote one's career. Along with this phrase, another phrase, if you see publish and perish. So if we are not publishing good quality journals, papers in good quality journals, substandard work we are publishing. So this is also become, that publication also become a cause for perish. So publish and perish has come up to warn the scientific community of the perils uninvolved in restoring to unhealthy practices in publication. The following are grave issues in research and publication circles. And the third is publish and flourish. So if you publish a good quality research articles, and so that is also one of the things where you can flourish. So publish and flourish is the third phrase, which is also very, very popular for us. So now please go to the next slide. So probably we may perish if we indulge in any of these practices. So if any academician or scientist or students, they are involved in these practices, plagiarism, manipulation and fabrication of data, duplicate manuscripts, redundant publications, fraudulent authorship. So all of these create publish and perish kind of situation. So if we take enough safeguard and avoid these issues, so if we avoid these, so this is the thing which not we will not make this as a practice. So if we are not following these practices, so there is a possibility that we can follow the third phrase, which is publish and flourish. So there are things which we will not do in academics writings, right? So now can you go to the next slide? So during today's sharing, if we learn the issues related to plagiarism and how we can avoid it, as all of us know that plagiarism is the action of individual misappropriating another person's work and claiming that it is his or her own work. Most cases of plagiarism are reported from academic and research institutions, which produce documents such as essays, theses, research papers, textbooks, and reports. So, plagiarism can also occur in other fields such as novels, poetry, cinema, short stories, features, art designs, and many others. So, earlier there were no mechanisms to check whether the article or book contained copy copied materials, or you can say similar were the cases with assignments, seminar papers, or theses submitted by the students. So, plagiarism committed by students, teachers, and scientists is a major problem in academic and research institutions. The failure of their part to acknowledge other people's ideas and statements must be viewed as an academic offense. The word plagiarism is frightening frightening to the you can say frightening to the students, as quite often they are caught and penalized for unintentional plagiarism. So in most instances they do so as they are not aware or not taught properly how to make plagiarism free material. So this is a very, very important topic which must be there in undergraduate and postgraduate classes. They should in the starting they should learn the ethics in academic writings. So by this they can avoid to not follow the kind of publish and perish kind of situations. So therefore it's very, very important to include such type of topics in undergraduate and postgraduate level, so that student from the beginning can learn that what are the different situation or what are the different things which he or she can avoid and can publish a good quality research papers. Ma'am, can you go to the next slide, slide 7? Okay. So now this is also one important thing, that after computer, or you can say after the arrival of computers and internet, copying has become much professional and easier. So for writing an assignment now, you can probably start searching for sources using a search engine such as Google, Google Scholar, PubMed, etc. The search engine will lead you to many sources which contain anything you need. The student may copy the information bit by bit and paste them into the body of the text. Ultimately, an assignment is completed in a hodgepodge manner. Modern copyright laws and ethics, however, brand this practice. Uh, as simply stealing. So this actually all we can see that when we give assignment to our students. So and so everyone are copying, pasting from the internet. Or maybe someone is also pasting from their friends. They are saying that uh, they are just changing some paragraph, or maybe someone, because also it's very very important to check the plagiarism of assignment of student as well from the software. And after that, from there we can also teach student that please this term is copied from this source, so please revise it. But actually when the number of students are very large in a classroom, so it's also very difficult for a teacher, but it's very tedious task for teacher as well. But we should follow something, some technique by which we can teach students. We can also learn by ourselves, but how we can avoid such kind of things where the student uh, can stop such type of things in the initial stage, so that when will they go for the higher studies, for post graduation and for PhD, they will not repeat the same things, same practice. Uh, modern copyright laws and ethics, however, ban this practice as many as simply stealing. So you should understand that when you plagiarize, you are stealing from someone else and cheating the system, thus putting others at a disadvantage. Apart from stealing, chances are that you may be caught with clear evidences. You should be aware that plagiarism checking software are now versatile, and if caught, its impact on your career would be disastrous. Therefore, never try to publish and perish, but instead publish and flourish. So, ma'am, can you go to the slide 8? So now the next in this, if we see that what is plagiarism and piracy. So piracy is a clear case. Uh, Plagiarism and piracy are related, but considered as two different aspects of copyright violation. Piracy is a clear case of copyright violation, but in plagiarism, copyright violation may not always. For example, if you are reproducing a copyrighted materials for large scale distribution for financial gain or other benefits, it is piracy. However, if you are reproducing a book or essay which is available in the public domain, which is not copyrighted for some benefits, it is authentic and will not be called piracy. At the same time, if you use copyrighted or non-copyrighted material as such or in partial changed from by putting your name on it as though it's your creation, it is plagiarism. Both piracy and plagiarism are unethical and illegal practices. And can go to slide 9. So now language, if we see that language proficiency is a prerequisite to avoid unintentional plagiarism, because sometimes what happens, there is a call, one plagiarism is called so there are different types of plagiarism. So unintentional plagiarism is one of the things. So language proficiency is actually is very very much required to avoid unintentional plagiarism. For example, if you are not confident with English, you may find it difficult to write in your own words easily, and in such instances, chances of plagiarism are high. So, procrastination, inadequate time for preparation, poor writing skills, pressure to produce publications, and ignorance about the implication of plagiarism are some other causes of increased instances of plagiarism. However, you cannot quote any of these reasons for committing plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism, or you can say unintentional plagiarism, is equally uh, disgraceful as that of intentional plagiarism. Right? So, students should be taught the ethics involved in writing and the dangers of plagiarism during the undergraduate days itself. Teacher must ensure that assignments, project reports prepared by students are plagiarism free. So that's why recently in FlipNet also now want that the postgraduate dissertation should also be checked through the plagiarism similarity check softwares which are available in university. So now they also want that this UG or sorry, postgraduate assignment should also be uploaded on the implement, like a thesis or synopsis of a PhD student, so that we can create a database of plagiarize free content, like plagiarize free research articles, plagiarize free so assignments of the students. Okay, ma'am. So these are the things. Now the next is these are the examples of plagiarism. So there are, you can say, the types of plagiarism. So in the academic world, plagiarism happens in many ways. For example, when students write an assignment, seminar paper or thesis, they may copy whole paragraphs, or students from books and articles are use them as such for their works. Such kind of copying text ideas, concepts, research results, statistical tables, computer programs, designs, images, sounds, or any combination of these come under the purview of plagiarism. The extent of plagiarism can range from copying a single sentence or a part, or if it is. So the following are the examples. If you see that copying sentences or paragraph from books and articles without quotation mark. This is one of the example of plagiarism. Copying from internet source through cut and paste. Taking credit for a work created by or done by somebody else. Making simple grammatical or word order cosmetic changes to borrowed material and representing it as one's own work. Imperfect paraphrasing of the works of another person without with minor changes, keeping the meaning, form, the progression of ideas of the original, patching up works of other into a new one, producing a written work as independent work when it has actually been produced with unacknowledged help of another person, and using any of your own previous published work, such as text, articles, and research results, and make it look like. So this is the case of self-plagiarism, right? Next slide. Can you move to the next slide? So, Shilpan, can you move to the next slide?
Yes, sir,
Yeah,
already
yeah.
changed.
Okay, okay. Now I
Uh,
can see. Right. So types of plagiarism. So the types of plagiarism can be grouped into 7 categories. So these are the basic, let's say, the standard or the reported 7 categories of different plagiarism. So uh, direct plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, paraphrase plagiarism, insufficient acknowledgement, complete plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and accidental plagiarism. So let's see what is direct plagiarism. So in direct plagiarism, copying of whole paragraphs or longer passage from another source is done without quotation marks as though it is their creation. So this type of plagiarism can be detected easily by using plagiarism checking software and comparing similarity index. Right. So whatever software we have in university or institute, you can check and you can directly check or detect this type of plagiarism. Second is the paraphrase plagiarism. Probably this is the most common type of plagiarism, wherein the author paraphrases or restates a part of someone else's work, but without citing the sources. So this is also one of the things which is for the prevention of the plagiarism. So we will see in the coming slide that how we can prevent the different types of prevention which we can take to avoid plagiarism, how we can avoid that. So next is the mosaic plagiarism. So in mosaic plagiarism, uh, this is the case of appropriating phrase from other sources or using synonyms to change some words or parts of sentence, but journal structure of the work remains the same. So this kind of patch writing, whether intentional or not, is not a good academic. And the fourth one is the insufficient acknowledgement. If you see that in certain works, the authors may have mentioned the original source of only part of what has been taken, or they may not have cited the source suitably. In both the cases, the authors fail to acknowledge adequately, and the reader would not understand what is original and what has been borrowed. And in the complete plagiarism, if we see that it is if you appropriately someone else article as such and publish it under your name. If you appropriately someone else, so if you are publishing someone else article by your name, it is a case of complete plagiarism. It is most heinous form of plagiarism. Students sometimes commit complete plagiarism, for example, by submitting a copy of the assignments of another student as his or own. So this happens during the student life when you are G level, right? But PG students are now they are doing so. Now the next is the self-plagiarism. So in this self-plagiarism, this occurs when the author uses his or own previous work, such as text, articles, and research results for a new work without mentioning that they have been published before. Most students publish papers based on their master's and doctoral thesis, and these are permitted and encouraged. However, if the individual is producing a paper using the data of works already published, it is a clear case of self-plagiarism. So if you are publishing again and again the same work by just changing something, some table or some values, sometimes the reading are same, but you are changing some values, and you are showing that you are
Sir, Pavan sir,
yes, yes.
I'm so sorry to intervene, but could you speak a bit louder, sir?
Okay.
The participants are not able to hear it properly, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much for informing me. Actually, my mic
Yes, sir.
is okay.
That's nice, sir. Up, ठीक है.
Okay. So now mic is close to my mouth, right? Okay. So
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so much. So and the next is accidental plagiarism. So after self-plagiarism, there is one more accidental plagiarism. So this is unintentional and includes a problem such as neglecting to cite the sources, misquoting the sources, or inadvertently using the source by similar words, groups of words, or sentence structure without attribution. Sometimes plagiarism happens due to ignorance. Please note that accidental plagiarism is taken as seriously as any other plagiarism, having the same range of concerns as other types of plagiarism. So you cannot escape that I have done this by accident, right? Because one of the vice chancellor of Delhi University, I think, when he caught under the this case of plagiarism, then what that statement he given is that this is actually accidental plagiarism. So somehow he escaped. So now, please, ma'am, can you go to the next slide? So now, how to avoid plagiarism. So this is the today's topic which we are starting from now, and we will try to share one by one these 6 different techniques that by which we can avoid or we can prevent ourselves from plagiarism. So how to avoid plagiarism, or we can say plagiarism prevention, which is our today's topic. So this is now starting from the slide 12, and we will see that how we can avoid plagiarism, how we can prevent plagiarism in our academic writings, right? So now to avoid unintentional pleasures, get familiar with good academic practices, including the art of good technical writing. So use proper language and styles and learn to paraphrase properly. So this is very, very important, right? Learn to use citations in the correct format, both in text citation and listing of sources, careful preparation of notes with full details of authors and publication is essential for proper citation. You can also use a suitable plagiarism checking software to detect and correct plagiarized materials which accidentally stolen into your work. So when you attempt to write an essay, research paper, or other works such as textbooks, you may have to use some or all of these techniques. So some popular techniques are avoid to avoid plagiarism are acknowledge sources appropriately, paraphrasing, direct and indirect quotations, summarizing, evaluation of text, use of plagiarism checking software. So these are the 6 different techniques we will study. We will share. I am going to share from the different sources that how we can avoid plagiarism in our academic writing. So now please ma'am go to the next slide number 13. Yeah. So first is the acknowledge sources appropriately. So you can say reproduction of published materials in a contentious issue is a contentious issue when dealing with articles and books. So there are certain rules and laws involved, especially related to copyright and related rights. Authors from India must make sure that their books or articles do not infringe upon any trademark, patent statutory rights, and proprietary rights of others, and the provision of Indian Copyright Act of 1957 as amended by Copyright Amended Act 1999. So when mentioning a previously published idea in a publication, due credit must be given to the originator unless the idea has become common knowledge. So you must indicate the name of author or organization along with the year inside the text, which is called citation, followed by full bibliographic information in the list of the and references. So whatever you are giving the information in your academic writing, so that can be a common knowledge, right? So and so it's very important when you are taking it from somewhere else, you should give a proper citation in the text as well in the end of the references when you're giving the that full reference or detailed reference in the reference section. So before using the works of others, for example, a figure, when we are using figure or we are using table as such, or in modified form in your book or other publication with citation, you must confirm whether a written permission from the original author or publisher is required. Because if you search Google, so sometimes what happens, there are some pictures and figures which are copyrighted. So you must ensure that whether that picture, when you are using in your academic writing or whether you are using somewhere else, that should be not copyrighted or it is free. Anybody can use. So there are some pictures which you can use, videos which you can use, but there are some copyrighted. So it's very, very important to please take care of these things before putting that thing, book, you can say figure or table in your academic writing. So normally permission is needed to use materials from books, articles, websites, poems, plays, songs, photographs, artworks. So such as diagrams and cartoons, newspaper articles, magazines or journal articles, book or magazine covers and their design. And copyrighted protected logos, because if you are using logos, so that is also very important to take the permission before using logo. We are freely using logos of some Indian organizations, right, without taking any permission, but which is also very is not you can say allowed. So so web materials shall be treated just like printed materials. So whatever available in the website is not free actually. Some materials are copyrighted, some are free. So it's very, very important to understand that online materials available through internet are also copyrighted material, and simply reproducing them through cut and paste is not acceptable, right? Take care to avoid cut and paste and drag and drop from the verbatim copying from electronic sources. So for using certain kinds of materials for your work, limited reproduction of published materials without permission and exception from citations are permitted. For example, uh, when you use common sense observations, when we are using myth, when we are using tradition, or you can say when you are using some historical events for your writing, so they need no citations because they are, you can say, common knowledge. You can say similarly your own experiences, if you have your own experiences, own insights, own videos, presentations, music, and other such creation do not require citations. So the citation is not required for such materials. So these are usually grouped as common knowledge. All these are under the category of common knowledge and material in the public domain and dealt differently. So the scientific evidence you gather after performing your own research experiments or surveys also need no citation because you are the owner of such information. So if you are owner of such information or any information you are own, you are the owner. So you can use that without citation. So in general, facts and information is common use, which can be verified from several places and are likely to be known by many people are regarded as common knowledge, right? So this usually includes facts available from various secondary sources such as textbook, handbooks, manuals, dictionaries, right, directories or encyclopedia. So if you're using the Newton's law, right, that is everyone knows. When you are using the sun rises in the east, right, everyone knows. So when a common knowledge is paraphrased for use as a document, a source need not be cited. After Although, you can say, although common knowledge or facts are not subject to copyright, the words used to express them may come under copyright restrictions, especially if the wording is original or unique. Therefore, paraphrasing is a unique paraphrasing is a must for such sentences. However, if the information is a result of an investigative work or experimentation of some others that has not attained the status of common knowledge yet. So it requires not only paraphrasing but also citation. So there are several methods for organizing and integrating information from various sources into your work. You can adopt one or more systems that suits your purpose, but you should be able to distinguish clearly between direct quotes, okay, which is called direct copying. Direct quotes are direct copying, and ear or your own structure and appropriate words. So you can write an essay, review, or discussion as paraphrase, quotation, summary, or just comments after evaluating the source. Normally, for producing a plagiarism-free write-up, an ingenious mix of all these are employed. Right. So, ma'am, can you go to the next slide? Slide number 15. Okay. Next is paraphrasing. So this is a second thing which we will discuss now, the paraphrasing. So this is very, very important also. So if you copy paragraphs or sentences of another uh, author without any change for your works, you are expected to mark them as quotations, meaning that they are not your own but borrowed. After the quotation, you are expected to cite the source and give the source details in the list of references. Quotes are, however, rarely used in science literature, and two, many quotations from other sources are not feasible in a textbook or research paper. Right. So excessive use of quotations can make your writing look like a patchy work. So it's also important to avoid paraphrasing or quoting. You can say when you are quoting something, so avoid quoting, not paraphrasing. You can avoid quoting. So because if you are using so many quotings, so it looks like a patchy work and may not reveal your understanding of the ideas or information being discussed. Because actually in academic writings, what uh, we want or what anybody want, that is the author's own ideas, not that he's sharing someone else's ideas, right? So in scientific papers, you should express your own thoughts and interpretations and not those of others. This problem can be solved easily if you learn the art of paraphrasing and summarizing, right? So a paraphrase is a restatement of piece of writing in your own words, syntax, and style, but preserving the tone of the original, having almost the same length. You use the original author's idea but present it in your own language. Bear in mind that as you are borrowing someone's thoughts, you must document the source when using the paraphrase for a document. Proper and correct paraphrasing is very, very important. Otherwise, you would be blamed for committing plagiarism. Sometimes you also try to paraphrase sentences of others to make it more comprehensive, right? A well written paraphrase is appreciable different from the original source in both wording and structure of sentences without substantially altering the intended meaning. So, as discussed already, using common knowledge or facts for one's work is handled, you can say, differently, because common knowledge is common and known to many. It is not subject to copyright. However, if the wording is original or unique, you cannot use them with the original wording. So for using it, you should paraphrase the information and write in your own words for a native English speaker. So this is easy, but for a non-native English speaker, he or she has to take extra care, extra effort to for paraphrasing. Although paraphrasing is a part of English language teaching, so it is not given the importance it deserves. So that's why it's very, very important to teach students in undergraduates, because there are some courses in communication skill. So this is also one of the topic which might be there, that the how to paraphrase. So it's very, very important topic which is very important for the academic writings or any writings, right? How to paraphrase. Right. So although paraphrase is a part of English language, so uh,
So, sir, at
yeah,
this point, I would like to ask one question.
yes, ma'am.
Sometimes we see that in introduction, in review of literature, paraphrasing is acceptable and we promote that too. And how do you think in conclusion part or maybe findings part, we'll be dealing with paraphrasing? I mean, referencing there in these sections, how important is that actually?
In conclusion part or in finding part.
Findings, yes, sir.
Hmm. So in finding part, actually the finding is the author's own finding. So it's very important that at during the finding section where the author is
Mm.
discussing the finding, so that should be the original, it should not be paraphrase, right? So paraphrase you can use in introduction part, you can use in literature survey part, but when in your thesis or in your paper you are discussing findings, so that should be the original finding of the author. So there it's very important that it's better that if you avoid paraphrasing and you can bring something from your own insights.
Along with the references, it will not work. I guess. In case if
Along,
we cite, in
yeah,
case if we cite
well,
some author which with whom our findings resonates with. I know that comes in the conclusion part,
yeah,
but somehow we deal
mhm.
with it कि findings में हम लोग referencing कर सकते हैं, cite कर
Yeah,
सकते हैं किसी author को.
in findings you can, if your result are comparable result, that if you want to give some comparison that already it is done by some other, so you can give the reference, or you can cite that particular author is also have done this thing,
Mm,
and the result of that person is this, and my finding is this. So you can
mm,
give the comparatives reference, or you can say
account.
yeah.
And there is one question, if you allow me to take it simultaneously.
Yes, ma'am. uh,
There is one more question, sir, in the question box. If you allow me to ask that question.
yes, ma'am, you can ask.
Oh, all right, sir. So, Shama ma'am asked, if search is creating his original diagram or flow chart and receives reviewer's comment to cite it, so what should we have to do? How to put original work so that we do not get such kind of comments?
uh, so the question is that if can you repeat this question? That Ma'am, can you repeat this question? What actually?
Yes, sir. I think she wants to ask that if creating his original diagram or flow chart, any
Okay,
author's original diagram or flow chart, and
right.
receives the comments from the reviewer indicating that this flow chart should be cited properly. So, what
This
should
question.
the
Okay.
author do, and how to put original work so that they cannot get such kind of comments? I mean, sometimes it happens that we use the flow chart or the diagram of some author, and
Right.
from the reviewer side, we get a comment like that you need to cite that. So, how they can deal with this situation? I
So
mean, how they can put in
for
originality?
yeah, now I can
Yeah.
understand. So if you're using the diagrams or flowchart of some others author, right? So
Hmm.
for that, you need to simply cite in the caption, right? So you can write the name of authors, or maybe you can write just in bracket the reference number, and at the end you can give the reference that this flowchart, this diagram, this figure is taken from this paper, particular paper. So you can just write in square bracket the number of reference number, or sometimes you can also write the author name, comma, you can say the year in which that paper is published, or you can also sometimes
So, your voice is a bit low.
oh, okay, now am I audible?
Yes.
Uh, okay,
Yes, sir.
so what you can do that you can just simply write the citation in the caption. Just give, you can only give the number, or you can also sometimes you can, because there are different citation styles, so you can also give the name of the author, comma, you can write the year also, you can also write the page number from where you have taken that picture. So this is the way that if you are taking some others flowchart or figure or tables in some other so you just simply in the caption you can cite, right? Or maybe in the text, when you are writing the text, you can just write that reference number, that in which reference number is that paper you can find where you have taken this picture, right?
Yes, sir. I think that answers the
Mm.
query of the participant. Uh, shall
Okay,
I move
so
to the next slide?
y- no, no, one minute.
Yeah, all right, all right.
So a common doubt expressed by many is the quantum of paraphrasing one needs to do to make sure that she or he is not blamed or plagiarizing. In fact, one cannot specify the number of words that should be added or changed to make a passage is her own. That is what is important is to understand the passage and rewrite completely in one's own words. Often, Occurrence of maximum of 5 consecutive words identical to someone else writing would not be regarded as plagiarism. For example, you cannot make someone guilty of plagiarism simply because the paper has some 5 consecutive words, right? Identical to someone else writing. For example, so it is not fair to consider the plagiarism if you reproduce or you are writing that all students, teachers, and parents, because these are the common words which may repeat by which can many authors can repeat in different places. So there are some things, or you can say UGC also allow that up to some limit you can write the so that will not be counted as plagiarism. For example, in India, common knowledge, or you can say coincidental terms consisting of less than 14 consecutive words are excluded from plagiarism check. So this is the guidelines of UGC that up to 14 words you can repeat, right, the sentence. After that, it should be changed. So these are usually exempted from similarity checks. So when you are going for similarity check by using any software, right? I authenticate or Turnitin or Orkund, right? Or Drillbit. So in that particular situation, you can exclude references, you can exclude bibliography, you can exclude table of content, preface, acknowledgement, right? So these are exclusive because you cannot paraphrase these things, right? Now, can you move to the next slide, ma'am? No, can you move to the next slide? Slide number 16, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Already.
Now,
Yes.
yeah. So, a reasonable command over English is essential for accurately paraphrasing the sentences of others. Paraphrasing can be done using the following techniques. So, these are the techniques by which we can do paraphrasing. So, preparing abbreviated notes, using synonyms for the major words, using simpler words instead of difficult, changing the class of words, changing of the order of words, changing sentences in active voice or passive voice, or and vice versa, combining simple sentences, converting long and complex sentences into two or more simpler sentences. So when you read a journal article or book, take down notes in an abbreviated form. Using devices such as abbreviations, symbols, shorter words, and numbers, certain types of words like articles are often dropped. Later, you can prepare the draft in full sentences using the abbreviated notes. So this would be substantially different from the original source. So this must be, you can say, we should teach these things to the undergraduate students so that they can learn how to do paraphrasing. So this must be a, you can say, topic of communication skill the English which they are studying in the first semester. So another technique is to use a mix of other paraphrasing techniques. For example, using synonyms and simpler words, changing the class or order of words, and changing the structure of sentences. For most words of expression, you can rely on synonyms with similar meanings. Presently, many online sources are also available to check out the most appropriate synonyms. However, keep watch when using words that you are not familiar with, as words can often have multiple meanings depending on the context in which they are used. So it's very, very important to check when you are using the synonyms, whether the, you can say, meaning of the sentence will not change by changing the synonyms. So you can also change the form of words. For example, from an adjective to a noun, or from a noun to a verb. Changing the word from often necessitates changes in sentences, structure, and organization. So you can also change sentences in active voice or to passive voice or vice versa, depending on situation. Okay. Splitting long sentences into simple sentences or combining small sentences into complex sentences are also common. However, remember that technical writing demands simple, clear, and straightforward writing. Whatever be the method, strive to be original when you write in write an essay or review of literature, or you can say research article, or you can say popular article or a book based on the information gathered from several sources. So now, uh, ma'am, can you go to the next slide? So we will see that some examples that how we can paraphrase. So now there are some examples if we see that how we can paraphrase, right? So the first example is this, that the original paragraph is this, that dogs can provide great assistance to both children and elderly people in their daily activities. Since dogs are active pets, they can also prove to be perfect buddies during exercise. There are different types of dogs that you can choose from to make as pets. So now if you paraphrase this, so it can be paraphrased like this, or there may be multiple ways to paraphrase this original uh, paragraph. So dogs offer helps to the elderly and children in their daily life. Dogs are active pets, providing to great exercise buddies. There are various breeds of dogs that you can select from for your pet. So it's very, very important to learn paraphrasing in a correct way or the proper way, or maybe. So now if you see the second example, ma'am, can you go to the next slide for the second example? So we have second example. So in this, if you see the original article or original paragraph is, exercise can help a lot in alleviating stress. That is a known fact. Exercise is a good way of reducing stress, and cardiovascular exercise is recommended for about 15 to 30 minutes, thrice or 4 times a week. Several studies have indicated the effects of exercise in handling stress. The activity can release endorphins to the bloodstream. So, if you paraphrase this, you can paraphrase in your own way, but this is one of the example that by this you can also paraphrase that exercise is a good way to get rid of stress. It is also a perfect way of lowering stress levels, while cardiovascular exercise that can be done 3 or 4 times a week for about 15 to 30 minutes is highly suggested. Research shows that there are positive effects of exercise in dealing with stress. It can help in releasing endorphins in the body. So these are the two examples of paraphrasing. Right. So now next technique. So ma'am, can you move to the next slide for the next technique is the direct and indirect quotations. Right. So this is the third technique which we are now sharing, which I'm sharing right now with you. The direct and indirect quotations. So the reproduction of exact sentences or words of an author from documents such as thesis, research paper, book, or essay is in your works is called quotation, right? So it's very, very important to learn this technique also as well for avoid plagiarism or to prevent plagiarism. So sometimes instead of going for paraphrasing or evaluating the text and making comments, you may prefer to copy material as such from sources as direct quotation. You can also do as as indirect quotation, which means that you are using the idea or information from an author, but in your own words as paraphrase. So direct quotation is exact copy of an original piece of text, word for word, in writing. You may directly quote an author when you feel that original author style is clear and appealing. the views of author exactly match of or support your views. You want your reader to know exactly what an author has said about a topic. The original phrasing reveals sometimes about the author or creates a particular effect, and you want to avoid much explaining. So, although direct quotes are not common in research articles, when you write a paper related to history, current events, and similar fields, direct quotes or partial quotes may become necessary for meaningful discussion of the subject. Still, it is not good practice to quote large section of text as such and rely too heavily on the original words of authors. So when you copy an author's words as such, use quotation marks around the exact words copied from original source. The quotation marks, either single or double, must be consistent throughout the text. In India, the custom is to use double quotation marks for such borrowed material. So when you are borrowing something, you use a double quotation marks. And if you are including quotation within quotation, so in that particular case, what you can do, you can also use the single quotation mark. So the ending commas or ending full stop should appear outside quotation marks unless the quotation forms a complete and independent sentence. Ensure that you have copied accurately both words and punctuation marks as used by the author. Note that if you are using direct quotation, it must be verbatim, and anything added or omitted by you must be indicated in square bracket. For example, if you are not reproducing the entire text but decided to drop a part of it, then you can use three dots, which is also called ellipsis, inside a square bracket. So inside a square bracket, if you are using the three dot, that means we are using the some part of the paragraph and some part we are not using. So for that we use the ellipsis to show that some part are missing. So that triple dot show that some part are missing, right? So we will also see some examples in the coming slides how we can use the quotation marks. So ma'am, can you go to the next slide for examples? So ma'am, can you move to the next slide? Slide,
Change.
slide number 20. Yeah. So now this is one of the examples. So when the quotations are short, less than 30 words, right? Or 3 lines, you can say. It is enough if you reproduce them exactly as they are printed in the original text and close within quotation marks. Introduce short quotation with a phrase in order to integrate them into your text naturally instead of appearing as abrupt additions. So let us see this example. Uh, Gardner et al. 19 bracket in parentheses you can see 1985 colon 66. So this 66 represent the page number, 1985 the year of publication, and Gardner is the first author's name. And there are some other authors, so we are just replacing the author by et al. So affirms that crop, in quotation, I quote, this is the quotation mark. So I quote, crop yield can be increased either by increasing the total dry matter produced in the field or by increasing the production proportion of economic yield. Okay, the harvest index or both, unquote. So this is under the quotation marks. So note in this example, the number given after the year is page number. This is 66 is the page number, and on which the quotation is to be found, right? And this is from the reference which is given in the below, right? So ma'am, can you move to the next slide? For the second example, we have one more example. Slide number 21. Right. So, however, quotation of longer passage, quotes of more than 30 words are displayed in block quotation. So, if you want to quote uh, for some passage which is more than 30 words, so for that you can use the block quotation. So usually after indenting 5 spaces from the left, right? So leave an extra line of space at the beginning and at the end of the quote. Use a smaller size font. For example, if you are using 11 point size, or maybe if you are using 12 point size for the general text, then use 1 point less, 11 point for the quote. For block quotation, quotation marks are not used, right? So you must also include the last name of the author, year, and page number at the end of the quote. An example, if you see this example of block quotation. So this is the one of the example of the block quotation, right? So we have just reduced the font size, right? If you are using that quotation, which is because this paragraph is more than 30 words, so you can just use this type of block quotation in your research articles when you're using words more than 30 words, right? So note that the writer introduced the quotation with a brief opening explanation. So before quoting, there is some brief explanation: science and technology advances to boundless level. So this is a brief explanation before quoting, and the indented part is actually the quotation which we have used. This is a block quotation which we have used here. So this is one of the examples, right? So after the sentence preceding, if you see that 2000, so Thomas, so this is the work of Thomas, and page number is 15 and published in 2015. So this is the you can say citation which you have given to this, right? So ma'am, can you go to the next slide, slide number 22? So this is actually, so the previously we have discussed the direct quotation. This is for the indirect quotation through paraphrasing. So there are two things. One is author prominence and one is information prominence. So when uh, in indirect quotation, instead of quoting phrases or sentences exactly, the general trend in science literature, especially in review of literature, is to put the idea or comment of the author in a paraphrase format. We generally follow two styles of to incorporate a paraphrase in our review: author prominent or information prominent. So there are two things: one is author prominence, one is information prominence. So when we see the example of author prominence, so you can write by giving prominence to authors. So if they are well recognized figures in their fields or their works are important, right? It is usually done by stating the sentence with the name of authors, immediately putting the year in parentheses. So if you see the example, these are the two examples of author prominence that Thomas 2018. So this paper was published in 2018 or and by Thomas stated that, right? So stated that shade tolerant fodder grasses could come up very well in coconut garden. And the second example is McHale 1990 highlighted certain shortcomings in report and asserted that. So please note that instead of stated, so here if you see the stated, so if you see the stated and highlighted in the second example, right? So in stated or highlighted, you can also use some other verbs, right? So for example, you can use remarked, you can use reported, you use claim, or you can use confirmed. So for example, you can use Thomas 2008, right? Confirmed, or you can use remarked, or you can use claim, or that depends that what type of sentence, or you can say what you want to actually uh, write or what is there in the next after this. So the connecting verb is very very important, or you can, this is called introducing announcing verbs. These are called the announcing verbs. So we also have in the next slide, ma'am, can you show the next slide where I have given, yeah, so these are the some of the announcing verbs which you can integrate and introduce to before introducing any quotation. So you can use agree, affirm, argue, assert, believe, claim, comment, confirm, consider. So these are the different announcing verbs which you can use, right? When this you are want to give indirect quotation and where the author prominence is there. right? So ma'am, can you move to the next slide? Yeah, so author prominence can also be implied by stating the sentence with, for example, according to Thomas, according to the, right? So, for example, according to Thomas, shade tolerant fodder grasses up to come up very well in coconut gardens, or right. So, shade tolerant fodder grasses come up very well, reported by. So you can use according to, reported by, right? So these are the different things. Okay. Now the next is information prominence. So in information prominence is there. So if you want to highlight the information rather than the author, so we want to only highlight the information, not the author. So for that, after writing the sentence containing the information, place a reference name and year. A comma precedes the year. So at the end of the sentence in parentheses. Note that the author's name is not part of the sentence but added separately in parentheses. So this is the example of information prominence. So when you want to give importance to information only, not to authors. So when the author is very popular, you can give the author prominence quotation, right? Indirect quotation. And when you want that information is very important, so you can give this, right? Right, so today is Sunday, so my son is in backside. So now can you move to the next slide, slide number 25, ma'am? Hmm.
So there is a little technical glitch. Participants are just kindly requested to wait. Dr. Pavan is rejoining, please.
Hello, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Actually, where there is
But we missed your last 1 minute.
right, right. But there is a power cut for 1 minute.
No issues, sir. Please continue.
Okay, so now, yeah. So this is slide number 25, right? So now this is the next technique which we can see, the summarizing. So sometimes instead of paraphrasing the original information from an article or book, you may just give a gist of information, right? If you state the content of the article in a condensed form in your words, it is called a summary. So this is a common way of reporting when information from several sources has to be evaluated and presented. So summarizing the source material prompts you to avoid the overuse of direct quotations or paraphrasing large chunks of original text. You will be able to understand the meaning of what you have read and present the material using your own words. So you should also add your own comments to show your analysis to interpretation of the work. The size of summary is often debatable. It may vary from paragraph to even pages, depending upon the information it carries. Remember that even after summarizing, you still have to acknowledge the source of the information if it is not common knowledge, right? So it's very important to acknowledge if it is not common knowledge. So if you see the example, so this is the original text, and after summary, so this is a gist of the information, which is very, very important. And you can also follow this same things. just read original text and just write a gist of the information, write a summary of the information. And by this, you can just incorporate in your thesis, in your paper, and but you should also give the credit to the original creator of this, right? So, ma'am, can you go to the next slide? The next technique is slide number 26. Yeah, so this is the next technique, you can say evaluation of text, right? So before using a piece of information for a review in a thesis or research article, analysis and evaluation of what you read should be done, what you read should be done. So do not be under the impression that all print and web sources are worth citing. Many of them would be biased, misleading, or simply wrong. You should shape your own ideas and opinions about different issues after reading a piece of information, and you are expected to support your arguments with literature in your field. If possible, add your own comments and responses to your notes from reading as you proceed. This will help you to recognize the differences between your own ideas and ideas of other researchers. If it is essential that the information presented in support of an argument in a thesis or article is reliable and unbiased. If it is erroneous or biased, readers easily recognize faults in your presentation. So you must develop the habit of interpreting the views of a writer and noting down your own idea, indicating agreement or disagreement. So when you evaluate a piece of work, you need to consider whether the source is dealing with facts alone, like the results section of the thesis, or simply interpretation like a critical essay or popular article on a finding, or a combination of both as in research paper. So it is important to assess the credibility of each source as well. Although both primary and secondary sources provide information, remember that primary sources are more reliable and convincing. Accordingly, if you evaluate the source and draw details from both types of your work. So now, plagiarism, uh, detecting plagiarism within a document has become a great headache, right, for academics as well as publishers. So the widespread use of computers and the advent of the internet have made it easier to plagiarize the work of others. Plagiarism can be detected manually or by the use of computer software. So manual detection is cumbersome as substantial human effort is needed. And in many cases, it is practically impossible where too many documents are to be compared. So computer assisted detection permits checking for similarity, comparing huge document collection within minimal time. So after the adoption of widespread plagiarism checking tools, some corrupt elements found out some forged ways to cheat the software. So there are some people, those again, they are able to cheat the software as well. So remember that simply altering our published materials by replacing synonyms for sufficient words to deceive plagiarism detect software in an unethical act, and it will not forge you from the blame of plagiarism. So some people can use quotation mark to avoid, you can say, to escape from the software also. So there are some people, those who are also cheating the software, right? So can you move to the next slide, ma'am? Slide number 27. So I will take, I think, around 5 minutes more to 5 to 10 minutes more. So uh, as we know that the fraud, misconduct, piracy and plagiarism or similar issues in scientific publishing have been noted by the publishing groups. So, and there are taking several possible steps. They are taking several possible steps and to prevent such malpractices. So these are the following. You can see, if you see that these are the international bodies who issue publication and guidelines to govern misconduct in scientific publishing. For more information, please visit these home pages. So the Committee of Publication Ethics (COPE), the European Association of Science Editors, the World Association of Medical Editors, the Council of Science Editors. The Council of Science Editors has taken several steps to uphold ethics in research and research publishing. It is editorial policy committee came out with a white paper for promoting integrity in journal publishing in 2018. So all who are involved in the scholarly publishing process must take responsibility for upholding integrity in scientific publishing. This white paper gives us guidelines and an overview of measures and rules related to ethics and plagiarism prevailing in different countries. So many countries have enacted laws with provisions of for penalties to curb the menace of plagiarism. In India, the University Grants Commission (UGC) has issued directives to prevent plagiarism in academic institutions across the country. So in 2018, so there is a regulation of UGC to detect and manage cases of plagiarism in department. A department academic integrity panel is there, shall be established at the department level, and at institutional or in university level, an institutional academic integrity panel shall be set up to consider recommendation of DAIP and to take appropriate decisions about penalties to impose. It can investigate allegation of plagiarism at the institutional level, right? So there are some levels which is defined by UGC that up to this level it is penalty. What different types of penalty is there? So ma'am, can you go to the next slide for where we can see the penalties, right? Slide number 28. So these are the different penalties as per the guidelines of UGC or their regulation 2018. In academic misconduct has been, if academic misconduct has been established by detecting cases of plagiarism, penalties have to be imposed on students pursuing master's and doctorate programs and on researchers and also on faculties, right? In the case of the thesis and dissertations, considering the severity of the plagiarism, the penalties are on different levels. So level 0 means similarity up to 10%. So this is allowed actually. Up to 10% they are allowing. So minor similarities, no penalty. Level 1, similarity have 10% to 40%. Such students need to submit a revised script within a stipulated period, not exceeding 6 months. Level 2, similarity above 40% to 60%. Such students shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for 1 year. And level 3, similarity have 60%. The registration of students for that program shall be cancelled. Similar penalties have been also prescribed for faculty members and researchers, right? In terms of their promotions. So if they found similarity, so then there is a question mark in their promotions, right? In the appraisal system. So then the provision is not given, the promotion is not given to that particular researcher also and faculty members, right? So it's very, very important to please take care of this and follow the different techniques for the prevention. Can you go to the next slide? So in this, if you see that these type of plagiarism detection tools, Turnitin, iAuthenticate, and Urkund are most common anti or Drillbit is also there. So anti-plagiarism software used in Indian universities. Turnitin and iAuthenticate are provided by iParadigms, which shares the same technology and database contents, but are designed for different categories of users. Turnitin is intended for students in classroom setting, but iAuthenticate is designed for teachers and researchers who want to organize and share their work in a folder-based system. Urkund is owned and developed by Prio Info AB Sweden. All the above, and Urkund is also suggested by UGC. That UGC is now giving this Urkund access to the university to check the plagiarism of the doctoral thesis, for PG thesis, PG dissertations. So all the above softwares, or all these softwares, if you see, are effective but costly, right? But Urkund is, I think, free of cost by UGC is providing this Urkund database. So most often only institutions are able to purchase such software. So examples of, there are also some free softwares, but the question mark is there on those softwares. Examples of some free softwares are Dupli Checker or Copy Leaks, Paper Rater, Plagiarism Checker, and Black Scan, Black Tracker, Viper. So these are some free software is also available. Major problems with free plagiarism detectors is that they have small database. So because if they have small database, so it's very difficult to check the plagiarism or similarity in a correct way. So then it's again not possible that if you are publishing any good quality research papers, right? So there is a possibility that you again caught in the case of plagiarism or similarity. There is a more similarity if you check from the free software. So they would not allow you to enter, or because there are some software, free software, which not also allow that maximum for 1000 words you can check, right? So please note that most plagiarism detection tools check for similarities, right? So all the software, iAuthenticate, Turnitin, or Controlbit, they are you checking the similarity, not plagiarism. Plagiarism is different and similarity is different, right? So similarity and not for plagiarism. The plagiarism detection tools identify material in your work that matches text from document in their extensive repositories, right? When you subject your article for a plagiarism check, the result give a percentage score known as similarity index, right? So this much similarity is there in your content, your research article from the available source in the database of that particular software. The similarity index gives as indicator of similar content that has been found in other published materials or thesis. If the author argues and proves that he or she has streamlined the arguments by citing and referencing the material, then they that cannot be taken as plagiarism. So if you are citing properly that particular similarity part, then there is a possibility that you cannot be that cannot be considered as a plagiarism, right? Okay, so ma'am, can you go to the next slide? And I think this is the last slide number 30. Yeah. So there are some materials which are excluded from similarity check, right? So as far as plagiarism is concerned, the idea strategy must be zero tolerance. However, do not equate plagiarism with similarity. You cannot make someone guilty of plagiarism simply because the software identified a few consecutive words, right? Few consecutive words to someone else writing, right? So to safeguard such cases of inadvertent similarities, some limits are prescribed for exclusion. And as I have also discussed earlier in the previous slides, that in India, the UGC prescribes exclusion of following type forms of checks, similarity checks, right? So these are the information put in quotations with necessary permission or attribution. Second is references or bibliography, table of contents, preface and acknowledgements. Third is generic terms, laws, standard symbols, right? And standard equations. And fourth is common knowledge or coincidental terms consisting of less than 14 consecutive words. right? So these are the things which are excluded from the similarity check by as per the guidelines of UGC. So exclusion of small matches. So when writing an essay or any similar work, one can set the software to ignore small matches coming under common knowledge. If you do not enable this setting, you may observe many small text matches of very general information. Small matches commonly occur when you use specific terms and long names. For example, person with physical abilities, or students, teacher and parents, departmental academic integrity panel, college of horticulture. So these are the common words which you might use somewhere. So these are the common words which is also excluded from the similarity checks. If you set the software, so there is also a setting in a software that you can set the software, right? Uh, that up to this word you are checking the similarity. So if you set your software to 14 words, so it will check, it will exclude that the consecutive words up to 14 or less than 14, right? Because there are some software which is already default setting is there, that they are setting up to 5 words or 4 words. So but according to UGC, you can go up to 14 words or maybe less than 14 words. It's less than 14 words, so up to 13 words you can go, right? So every match and software finds. So if you set the software to exclude small matches cases below 14 words, every match the software finds to be less than 14 words would automatically be excluded from the report. So this enables the user to focus more on relevant potential misconduct issues rather than the struggling to remove trivial matches. The plagiarism detection software generates an originality report, which is a statement of similarity between the work under scrutiny and a database of previously published work, websites, and other sources. If a match is found between a submitted work and an existing one, the software highlights the matching text. However, all cases of plagiarism explained here cannot be detected through a plagiarism detection tool. So this is the main dilemma with such software. So what is required is scientific honesty and ethical behavior when dealing with others' work. So it's very, very important to understand that in academic writing, we should follow the honesty. And honesty is the best policy, as we already know. But because of the pressure, academic pressure, right? Because of the pressure of my colleagues or the institution, people are publishing, right? And they are, you can say, not following the path which is required to be for the quality. Because if we want to become the quality producer of research articles, so it's very, very important to follow all the ethics, right? Otherwise, we can increase in quantity, right, like China, but if you see the quality, that the quality is not good of China, right? So it's very, very important that just to be number one in all around the world, so don't publish the articles uh, uh, you can say without following the path which is the path of honesty, right? So there are some selected reference which I have given at the end, where from where I have prepared this PowerPoint presentation, and I have sharing, because this is not my own creation. I have just sharing with you the whatever I have studied from different resources, and I have used these things for the preparation of the PowerPoint presentation and whatever I have shared. So I hope I am able to convey the information to you in a correct way. And thank you so much for listening. And today is Sunday, so sorry for the background sound which you have, I think, heard in between my lecture of my son, my wife, my mother is also there. So, and my son also, you can see in my background sometimes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I'm open to the question. Over to Anshul ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. That was quite a knowledgeable session, informative one, sir.
Thank
I open the floor for any questions from the audience. The floor is open for the questions. So there is one question. Are these plagiarism tools available free of cost? If there is any app they could use to check the plagiarism?
So as I have already in my slide number 29, I have informed you that there are some free software also available, but the authenticity of those software is not good because the database is very less, right? So it's better to use the software which is paid software, or maybe it is available in your university or institution, like UGC has, I think, given the access of Urkun to all the universities, and that is, I think, free of cost. And but if you want to use very good software like Turnitin and Authentic, so for that you need to pay, or you need to just collaborate with someone, that some of your friends, because there are some software like free software like Dupli Checker, Copy Leaks, Paper Rater, or Checker. So these are sufficient for UG student where the number of words are less. But if you but their database is also not strong, right? So it's better to go for the available software with the university.
And further, they are asking if the report produced by different, plagiarism tools, it comes out to be same, or it may differ.
It may differ because the database is different, right? So because the database of I authenticate may be different, the database of Orkut may be different. So it may differ because all it's only check the similarity from the available database with the software. So if the database is not sufficient with the software, so it cannot check the similarity. So therefore, it depends upon the database, how much strong database that particular software has. And if the strong database means the price is very high, right?
So in that case, which report would be acceptable? I mean,
So which is actually suggested by UGC, because UGC suggested Urkund. So if you check from Urkund and your plagiarism is less than 10%, so it's acceptable. Right?
questions from the panelist? Ma'am, Kanchan ma'am, Tanya ma'am, Vijay sir, if you would like to ask anything. Any inputs from your side?
Sir, just because we are in an FDP and there are a lot of participants who are from colleges as well, because universities generally have that kind of income, where they can go in for a lot of softwares and they can invest into it. So for colleges, for instance, small time colleges, standalone colleges, uh, what kind of softwares one has to really add, into their for plagiarism checks? So which would be a few which you would suggest from this platform to them, which they must go for and go for an institutional plan for that? If you can just suggest few.
So ma'am, I think UGC is already providing this Orkund free of cost to all the institution colleges. So they need to apply to the InflipNet, I think, where you can just go to the librarian and just if librarian already know these things, that from InflipNet they can just request for the software Orkund. Then they will give the access to your data, because they want some you can say from some information from your college or institution or university, that how many students are there, how many documents you will check annually. So they will accordingly they will give you the access free of cost. So Urkund is free of cost, and for others you need to collaborate. That if someone from some other institutes, those who have paid software, so just you need to collaborate if you want to use free access, if you want free access for checking of the documents.
I think to my knowledge, like I have also in my own academic circles, I've seen like a lot of colleges also collaborate to purchase the software, because even right now with the new education policy that has come up, that is also, other than the features of multidisciplinarity and the various aspects it is talking about, it is also talking of optimization of the resources. So I think institutions can go in for, even if one has to go for a paid form of any plagiarism software, can certainly go. And Drillbit is one good option. Most of the institutions even are taking up Drillbit, but I find one limitation there is that the number of, the costing is based on the number of users.
Right.
So 10 or 12 users. So maybe in a college it works very well, but in a university, again, there is a challenge in a university system.
Yeah,
So
Drillbit is actually there are two type of subscription is there. 1 year or maybe 5 years you can take, and depending upon they are also providing 2 to 3 years also. Depending on that, the price will be reduced. So for if you are taking for 1 year, it is around 94,000 including GST. So that is also not very costly. So if institute have targeted that they will have 1,000 data, the 1,000 document they will check during this academic session, so they can go for Drillbit also. Drillbit is also suggested by UGC. So and similarly, if you go for if you increase the number of years, so the price will reduce. So if you go for 5 years, so automatically the price is reduced, and they will not increase on year, because every year they are increasing 7%. Price is increased by 7%. So if you are taking the subscription of 2 years or 3 years, then they will not increase that 7% every year. So that is also one of the good option, that within 1 lakh you can take you can check the similarity of 1,000 documents. And also there are number of user are less. Yes, number of user are 11 in the first subscription, but in the second subscription the number of users are 25. Right.
in fact, sir, I just want to add little point here is because now there's a lot of focus on even undergraduate research and postgraduate research. So I think it becomes a necessity for all educational institutions since yesterday in the session which we were having on copyright violation. So it's an this emerged that most of us, we value physical tangible property. If there's a house in your name, first thing you'll do is you'll go and register the house. You would not want someone to anyone just can't come and confiscate your house. We do it for tangible assets, but somehow the mind or the power of the mind is a very undermined aspect, that it's so simple. I mean, if one has to go in for plagiarism, it can be just stealing of an idea which two people are informally talking, and it is put up by a third person. So I rightly agree with what you say, that whatever softwares and XYZ things you may have, the fundamental things is the scientific honesty and the ethics, which you are saying, or very rightly stated, honesty is the best policy, as you say. But yes, I think one point which I want to make here is that this has to start from the undergraduate level. In fact, it should start from the school level. Right. It's not required to be started at an undergraduate level. The honesty, doesn't come in one day. Right. Such kind of values do not just suddenly emerge. In fact, you said that there are challenges, there are institutional challenges. As you started, publish or perish. But then you need to flourish, because if you don't flourish, you will again perish. Right. So I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say. So there are challenges, but then that's how one has to continue with the honesty. The tools are available, but I think this has to be through this FDP and through especially your session in particular. I feel that I strongly recommend from this platform that we should have this some basics of scientific honesty, and even when children are making assignments at schools, we are just outrightly copying. The whole purpose is there's copying from books, there is copying from peers, there is copying from a past record. So, and this is so well ingrained through the school years. We are also accepting as teacher plagiarized work. So it automatically, becomes a part of your living. it closes the doors of rephrasing, paraphrasing. So I feel it should start very early, sir. Not just as something when one becomes a researcher. It's equally important when I'm at school. So I'm sure you would agree to that, sir.
Yes, yes, totally agree.
Yes, sir. So thank you.
Thank you
I
so
have
much.
no more questions. Yeah, Dr. Anshul. Jaiswal, sir, you wanted to ask, say something, sir, and any question? Otherwise, of course, we'll be inviting you. But आपकी कोई observation, sir, तो जरूर बोलिए.
Madam, after Dr. Pawan Kumar comprehensive lecture, I think everybody doubt is very clear about plagiarism. He has very comprehensively covered the topic, and I heard today his whole lecture, and everything he covered in his lecture: types of plagiarism, paraphrasing, direct and indirect quotation, and everything. And one thing more, I today know that only 14 consecutive words are allowed. Only I today know in this lecture. So thank you very much, Dr. Pawan Kumar ji. Very comprehensively आपने कवर किया. अब बड़ी माइन्यूटली आपने चीजों को बताया प्लेगरिज्म के बारे में कि बहुत सारे लोग जानते नहीं है और इनएडवर्टेंटली लोग कमिट करते हैं प्लेगरिज्म क्योंकि पता ही नहीं है उनको, वो जानते नहीं है. हमारे में एक पेपर में एक फोन आ गया एक मैडम का वहां से वेस्ट बंगाल से, तो मैंने कहा ठीक है मैडम अब तो गलती हो गई मुझसे, अब मैं तो कुछ कर नहीं सकता, आगे से ही ध्यान रख सकता हूँ. तो ओनली 14 कंजिक्यूटिव वर्ड्स आर अलाउड किसी भी पैराग्राफ के टेक्स्ट के, तो ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग आपने बताई. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I think we can, Dr. Anshul, we are now moving towards the last bit of our session, that is valedictory. So I'll request everyone to stay connected. Over to you, Anshulji. Let's continue with the valedictory now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And these 7 days, I think ekdam se chale gaye. They just vanished. It was nice connecting with you all. And hereby I now take this opportunity all these stayed together.
Anshul, your voice is breaking, Anshul.
All right, ma'am. Is it fine now?
Yeah, little better, little better.
I think Anupam ma'am, if I could, if you switch off the cameras. So, Mangalam University.
Dr. Anshul, I think there is a technical glitch from your end. Not really audible. Anupam ji has to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so till Dr. Anshul has a little balanced connectivity, maybe please request Dr. Anupam ji to speak as a participant, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Anupam Bansal, Assistant Professor, KIT College of Education, Gurugram, give my most sincere thanks to KR Mangalam University, Gurugram, and CCS University, Meerut for this 1-week interdisciplinary faculty development program on meaningful research and intellectual property rights. It was a beautifully presented FDP. I gained so much from this and a ton of tips and strategies to improve my work in future. The FDP session were very knowledgeable by the renowned keynote speakers. I appreciated all the faculty members of the KR Mangalam University to organize this wonderful FDP and share my gratitude. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Anupam ji. It's been wonderful and very encouraging to hear you. May I now request Dr. Sharma to give her feedback on the FTP. Welcome.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Ma'am, am I on? So much. First of all, Tanya, ma'am, School of Education and the Chaudhry Charan Singh University to organize such a wonderful FDP on the topic of plagiarism and this is IPR, intellectual property rights, because these are those topics where everyone's top off. If whatever we are doing, we are wonderful in research, but somewhere, somehow, every time we, find that yes, we caught in this particular problem now, how we are going to find out the solution. So these sessions which we have attended, they are very, very insightful sessions based on the research, IPR, and plagiarism. And as today is Sunday, though it's a day for the family, but yes, today I got an opportunity to sit silently and hear properly all the things which are taken by Dr. Pavan. So I came to know, as I totally agree with Vijay sir, that today I came to know about that 14 consecutive words we can use in one paragraph, the direct and indirect quotation, and the thing which is very important for me, that when we are using the words and we need to cite the word, that time different things need to write differently. Like evaluation tests, we need to write differently. Paragraph quotations, we need to write differently. So that was the interesting part which I came to know today. It earlier I was, I think, using the same pattern to write the things. So thank you so much, Dr. Pavan, for this particular session. Really, really very crystal clear session, and I'm going to definitely incorporate all the suggestions made by you. Thank you so much, Tanya ma'am, Anshul ma'am, Vijay sir, to give me an opportunity to speak over here or at this particular platform. Really, really grateful to all of you. Thank you so much from my side.
The pleasure is all ours, ma'am. So if I am audible, shall I continue? All right. So here I culminate 7 days. So, meaningful research. FDP.
Dr. Anshul, sorry to interrupt you again.
Not audible.
We can't hear you. There is, again, I think, some problem from your end. Yeah.
If I stop sharing the screen, just am I fine now? Better. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sharing the screen again. So this FDP was organized by School of Education, KR Mangalam University, in collaboration with CCS University, Meerut. In this FDP, 90% participants across the country participated. The participants were assistant professors, associate professors, and professors. They were principals of some reputed schools. They were school teachers. There were research scholars from various colleges, university departments, and schools like education, case studies, management, journalism, communication, humanities, agricultural sciences, engineering, computer sciences, life sciences, social work, etc. participated. The academicians got connected with us from Jammu, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Tripura, Maharashtra, and various districts of state Haryana, Karnataka, Manipur, Madhya Pradesh, Hyderabad, Chandigarh, and Manipur. So we have got a wide variety of participants who got connected with us during this FDP. So day one of the FDP, it began with a welcome address by Professor Vijay Jaiswal, Dean Faculty of Education, CCS University, and Professor Tanya Gupta, Dean School of Education here at KR Mangalam University. They welcomed the participants and discussed the various objectives of this FDP, and the day followed a session on basics of IPR by Ms. Manjeera Sakia from University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. The key focus areas of the session were the need of intellectual property rights, type of intellectual property such as patent, geographical indications of goods, trademark, designs, and copyright. The session of the second day of FDP was on systematic approach for writing research and intellectual property rights. This session was taken by Dr. A.V. Senthil Kumar. He is director and professor at the Department of Research and PG in Computer Applications, Hindustan College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. He spoke about how one can publish the quality research papers, the importance of citations, impact, and tips to increase citation count. He talked about SSN and ISBN number, DOI number, and differences between journal impact factor and site score, and how one can find H index. The speaker also talked about the clone journals and suggested checking the journals in the Scopus or Web of Science pages for the same before sending the papers to the journal. Day 3, it was taken by Dr. V. Swapna. She is a registered patent and trademark agent from National Institute for micro, small and medium enterprises, Hyderabad. And she spoke about filing of patents and documentations, procedures, industrial design, and geographical indications. The key focus area of her talk was the procedure of filing the patents, guidelines, which as authors can follow to claim identification. She talked about different publication types from the Indian Patent Advanced Search System, industrial designs, and geographical indications. She elaborated upon how patents can be filed with the patent office having appropriate jurisdiction. For that, she demonstrated the web-based filing system of patents. On day 4, a quiz was given to the participants on the basis of the previous 3 sessions conducted by eminent speakers. The quiz had 16 multiple choice questions, which the participants had to attend to and submit the very same day. Day 5 was the fundamental of on the fundamentals of trademark. It was taken by Dr. Parikshit Sirohi, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. The key focus areas of the session was copyright, trademark, plagiarism prevention. He mentioned about the purpose and the importance of the copyrights. He had explained about the balance between competing interests of the creativity and the society. Day 6 session was on the copyright violations and related rights. The speaker of the session was Dr. Baharul Islam. He is an associate professor and dean, University School of Law and Research, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. The speaker discussed about the he mentioned about the object of the copyright law and how the authors can be encouraged, how the composers can be encouraged to create original works by rewarding them with the exclusive right for a limited period to exploit the work for the monetary gain. He further associated copyright with the technology and discussed how these two are connected. He spoke about relinquishments of the copyright, assignment of the copyright, term of the copyright, and remedies against infringement of the copyright. Day 7, it was taken by Dr. Pavan Kumar. He is an Associate Dean Research at KR Mangalam University, Gurgaon. And the topic of his discussion was plagiarism prevention. And he started his presentation with very beautiful quote, taking something from one man and making it worse is plagiarism. So his entire discussion revolved around how we can prevent the plagiarism. So he discussed about some of the cases of plagiarism and how plagiarism and piracy, they are conceived as the same same concept, but rather they are different. He further elaborated upon the causes of the plagiarism and gave some beautiful and understandable examples of the plagiarism. Talking about the types of plagiarism, he mentioned about the direct, mosaic, paraphrasing, complete plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and accidental plagiarism, and how we can avoid these plagiarism. He beautifully acknowledged the sources which we can use to cite in our work very appropriately. So this was a gist of the 7 days FDP, which we had in collaboration with the CCS University, Meerut. So, Professor Tanya Gupta, I would like to welcome you to say a few words.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Anshul. In fact, I would like to first, if okay, can I first request Professor Jaiswal ji to please speak, because he's a very senior colleague, and can I please request you, sir, to first speak?
Okay, madam. I think today we have to pay vote of thanks.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes.
Okay, madam.
Yes.
Okay, madam. As we today just heard the Dr. Pawan Kumar lecture on plagiarism in this FDP. Today, his comprehensive lecture. First of all, we are very much thankful to our University Vice Chancellor, Honorable Professor C.S. Dubey sir, and our CCS University Meerut, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Sangeeta Shukla ji, for their academic and administrative support. Because without their academic and administrative support, this FDP could not be get a success. And we are very much thankful to the Dean, School of Education, Professor Tanya Gupta ji, Dr. P.C. Jaina ji, Coordinator, School of Education, KR Mangalam University, Gurgaon, co-coordinators of this FDP, 7 days FDP, Dr. Anshul Saluja ji, Assistant Professor, School of Education, Ms. Kanchan Khatreja ji, Assistant Professor, School of Education, KR Mangalam University, Gurgaon, Ms. Manju Kundu ji, Assistant Professor, School of Education. For without their active support, this FDP could not be get success. Their active and day-night effort, untiring effort made this FDP today a grand success. After team member, we are very much thankful to our learned speakers. As Dr. Anshul said, first day on 8 August, the speaker was Dr. Manjira Sakia ji, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. His topic was Basics of IPR, Intellectual Property Rights. Second day on 9th August, we had a lecture on Systematic Approach for Writing Research Article and Indexing and Citation by Dr. A.V. Senthil Kumar, Director, Department of MCA, Hindustan College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. On third day, 10th August, we had a lecture on filing of patents and documentation procedure, industrial design and geographical indication by Dr. V. Swapna, Registered Patent and Trademark Agent, National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Hyderabad. On 4th day, 11th August, we had an assignment regarding this FDP. On 12th August, we had a lecture on Fundamental of Trademarks by Dr. Parik Seth Siroi, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Law, Delhi University, New Delhi. On 13 August, we had a lecture on copyright violation and related rights by Speaker Dr. Baharul Islam, Dean, Law Department, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. And today we had a very, very comprehensive lecture on plagiarism prevention by Dr. Pawan Kumar, Associate Dean Research, Mangalam University, Gurgaon. So we are very much thankful for all these resource persons because they are learned lecture and their discussions and deliberations made this FDP a grand success. And I think our participants are very much thankful for their active participation in this FDP, because without their active participation, this FDP could not get a grand success. And I hope that all the lectures delivered by resource persons will definitely broaden their mental horizon regarding IPR, because these are very burning issues in regards to meaningful research. Regarding this burning topics like plagiarism, copyright violation, fundamental of trademark, copyright, assignment, intellectual property rights, citation, indexing. So all the resource persons were very much thankful. And last but not the least, the organizing team of Mangalam University is very thankful. I am because their active collaboration, and they gave us an opportunity to collaborate with Mangalam University, Gurgaon, through this FDP. So I am very much personally thankful to Mangalam University, his patron, Professor C.S. Dubey, co-patron, Professor Pushpalata Tripathi, convener, Professor Tanya Gupta ji, Dean School of Education, Dr. P.C. Jaina, Coordinator, School of Education. Because this FDP made a very meaningful academic collaboration between CCS University, Meerut and Mangalam University, Gurgaon. I am very much thankful to the team, organizing team. And definitely, I also hope in near future, further such academic collaboration with Mangalam University, Gurgaon also. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who has made this FDP successful and contributed, actively participated, directly and indirectly to make this FDP very much successful and achieve his goals. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been wonderful hearing you, sir. And more than you, we are happy that we have started, as you know, during the inaugural also, I had said that we have started on this journey of collaboration. And this is the first, of course, besides the other research and academic work that we do together, this is the first formal kind of a program, academic program that we have done. You'll be happy to know that the daily feedbacks that have been taken from the participants, there are certain inputs on, more topics where we can do much more kind of capacity building and training programs and faculty development programs. So we will, sir, certainly plan, and always getting associated with you, Professor Jaiswal, is it is very reassuring and encouraging that we'll do something meaningful. So, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, and you've already delivered the vote of thanks, which had to be done today by you. So I will only accumulate it by one big gratitude and thanks to all the persons whom Professor Jaiswal sir has thanked, right from the patron of this FDP and the organizing team, which includes the minute-to-minute thinking and planning and execution. I would like to, name them more here, because we all know that the ideas have to be spearheaded by the management and by the leadership. But I'd like to especially thank your management as well, because trust us, sir, that the kind of lead they are giving us, the kind of faith that our management, dynamic management, if I use the word, the way they are leading us and the way they are even guiding us through this. They want us to do something meaningful. They want us to do something which is impactful. And we at School of Education, in fact, the other 10 schools also that are there at the university, each school is working very hard to make an impact, not only in academics or research, but even a social impact. And so all regards and all commendations to our management, which is very dynamic. And yes, our leadership, they are our pathfinders. They lead us to light, our patron and co-patron of this FDP. And the Vice Chancellor of CCS University Merit also. No collaboration works well without the leadership. So you've thanked them. I thank them again. And I would like to thank the participants. There were days when we had some participants going down because I think the hours were 10 to 12 were a little working hours, but still people managed. And I think when you want to learn and you want to gain something new, and I think it is also on every day the session improved. There was something new to learn and the speakers did very well. So gratitude to all these speakers. Sir has already expressed his gratitude to them. I do it very humbly from my end. Thank you so much for making this FDP truly amazing. And my core team, which has worked, without whom this FDP is just, it could not be even conceptualized, is the strong teamwork. My wonderful dear colleagues, Dr. Anshul, who has worked day in and out for this, coordinating this FDP. My very dear Manju Kundu, she has also worked very hard. Miss Kanchan Katreja, again a very dear colleague. All of them are very dear, equally dear to me. So, but I want to use this word because you must express your gratitude towards your colleagues well. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Dr. P.C. Jena is absent today.
Yes, he is, sir, he's a little engaged. But yes, the young ladies have worked very hard, the kind of coordination. I'll also like to thank Dr. Pooja Verma. She was, though not formally a part of this FDP in the organizing team. She did a FDP just, we have had 3 back-to-back FDPs going on since July. So she was in some other FDP. But that's the beauty of our school. If one person is not there, the other person just stands immediately. So thank you, Dr. Pooja, for carrying one full day session. We cannot miss you out in that. And Professor Dr. Jaina ji, immense coordination, minute-to-minute guidance and support, guidance to the coordinators and support.
Dr. Jaina ji is founding stone of this FDP.
Yes.
That's why he is not preparing.
No, he had certain, sir, engagement. We express our apologies. He has sent his regards, but yes, he has been instrumental. And thank you, Dr. Jaina ji, for every support and there. And all of us should not forget that whether it is a participant or it's a coordinator, we could not have seen this without the immense support of Dr. Dharam, without the support of Mr. Dharamveer ji. He's our technical bond. He makes us live on time and he ends the sessions well. And he's doing a lot of background work, maintaining our records. And so these videos will also be available on our YouTube so that, these resources can be seen as and when people want to learn anything more on patents or copyrights. So I'm immensely thankful. And in the end, I'm grateful to the Almighty that he's giving us this courage and this wisdom to keep contributing. And thank you so much to everyone. Professor Jaiswal ji, bahut bahut aabhar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ji. Thank you.